The Suns, who were supposed to be a heavyweight contender, were a total pretender, and now they are expected to open up the bidding. If you would like Kevin Durant, come on down. Yes, several teams already have emerged as early front runners. We're not even at the quarter pole, but they're leading contenders, including a team that was prominently mentioned in the last 24 hours. You know what team that is? Name that team. All right, you don't know. The Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets. So let us discuss the question for the esteemed panel. How do you evaluate the Rockets and Kevin Durant said to have mutual interest in joining forces? So I've got Boombox, Freight Train, and Paperless. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to empty the bench is what we're going to do. We're going to empty our bench out right now, and we are going to say, number one. I said number one. All right. We'll try not to hit an iceberg here. So here's the deal. I don't think I'm wrong on this, but I don't know. I just do the overnight show. I believe the Rockets have not played a postseason game. Is that correct? Okay, I'm told that is correct. So the Rockets have not played a postseason game. Houston is the number two seed in the Western Conference. They have a play date with Jimmy Buckets, Stephen Curry, and Golden State this weekend. Despite Houston having home court, the Warriors are the public's pick to click in that series. So until that matchup is decided, the NBA likes to drag these things out. So until that happens, premature is the word. Premature with a capital P. That's the word, premature, to properly speculate about the next step for Kevin Durant in association with Houston. Now, if the Rockets go on a magic carpet ride and get through Golden State and then get through the next round and advance to the Western Conference Finals, it would not make sense. It would not make sense to bring in an aging Kevin Durant who is a team killer. So, either way, though, you don't need me to tell you. You don't need me to tell you that you need to get your boombox out and crank up the Sandals, the theme from Endless Summer, because it is going to be the summer of Kevin Durant. Expect 7,894 different reports from league sources. Kevin Durant had a great pastrami sandwich in Manhattan. He'd like to play for the Knicks. Kevin Durant, one time he was in Minnesota, the greatest burger he ever had was a Juicy Lucy at the Nook in St. Paul, so he wants to play for the Timberwolves. Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, in fact, they'll even make stuff up. Like Durant, one time he stopped over in Kansas City, and he went to the Landing, and he had the Ben Maller chicken fingers, so he wants a franchise to relocate to Kansas City, and then he can have those all the time. You know, every angle, every single angle. Now, the usual suspects. And forget the usual suspects, not just the NBA teams. Who knows? The Beijing Ducks. Kevin Durant would like to expand his brand in China, so he wants to play for the Beijing Ducks. Or how about this one? Durant, when he was a kid, he growing up in the Baltimore area, I believe he had the ant thing, you know, that the ant collection. So he wants to play in the G League for the Indiana Mad Ants. Whatever works. Whatever works, just go with it. All right, now, page 2. Developing story from the Bayou. We go to New Orleans. Where Joe Dumars, if you're old, you remember Joe Dumars as a dominating, quiet assassin for some great Pistons teams back in the old days when players had hair on their chest and actually played in most games. It's a different era. Now the players miss as many games as possible. But Joe Dumars, who was hired as the head of basketball ops for the Pelicans, and he has released an opening statement. And the Pistons legend from another era, his opening statement about the current state of the Pels roster. And what many are pulling out the magnifying glass and examining that may or may not have been a jab at Zion Williamson. Let me give you the quote, and then we will parse the words together. I'm going to give you the quote. I am not Joe Dumars. I want the record to show I am not Joe Dumars. However, I will pretend for the purposes of talk radio to be Joe Dumars. This is only a drill. This is only a drill. Quote, there's a lot of talent on this roster. My vision, Dumars stated, is to build a disciplined team that is built on toughness, smart decision-making, and a no-excuses mindset. I am proud to have grown up in Louisiana and know how passionate, resilient, and tough we are as a community, blah, 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 close quote. All right, so did Joe Dumars, in the previous quote, take a shot at Zion Williamson? Did he poke Zion Williamson in his Pelicans opening statement? That is the question. What is the answer? So I spent about 60 seconds on a Mallard deliberation, and this is as subtle as a freight train. It is as subtle as a freight train. Zion Williamson, what is Zion Williamson known for? What is he known for as an NBA player? He's undisciplined. He's not tough. He doesn't make good decisions, and he makes a lot of excuses. He is the opposite of a Joe Dumars type player. Did I get any of that wrong? Did I get any of that wrong? He has been under siege, Zion Williamson, for a total lack of good judgment when it comes to decisions you make on and off the court, the no excuses mindset, toughness, all of that. He is the perfect modern ball player. And from the sound of it, Joe Dumars is not going to have anyone on his roster because the entire NBA is opposite of what Joe Dumars wants. All right, Zion has missed 258 games in his New Orleans career. He's played in 214. We're talking about 6 seasons. He's missed 258 work assignments in 6 seasons. You talk about meandering. Now, that means, using Mallard math, that he has missed approximately 54%, a little over 54% of his possible work assignments. So, I mean, rather than just say, I'm going to trade Zion Williamson, you don't have to say that. When Joe Dumars comes out and says, I want a team that is built on discipline, toughness, good decision-making, no excuses, and you have a guy, Zion Williamson, who is the opposite of all that, bye-bye, na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na, hey, goodbye. All right, final point. Follow up. Nico No-No, Dateline Dallas, the embattled GM of the Mavericks, who did win the play-in game on Wednesday night. The Mavericks will play again to try to get in the playoffs. Well, GM Nico Harrison, remember he held that news conference, his second news conference with the media after his decision, or the team's decision, to say goodbye to Luka Doncic. And the story was he did not want any record of that to get out. Initially, there were no cameras and no microphones, and then eventually they allowed some recording, but you couldn't publish it. No cameras allowed. And he was surrounded by hand-picked media elites. The Dallas Mavericks protecting the Nico Harrison, only bringing in the reporters that will lick his toes. Well, now we are hearing what the old broadcaster Paul Harvey back in the day would say is the rest of the story. The rest of the story. Is it true that if it was up to Nico Harrison, he would not have done that at all? Is it also true that Nico Harrison fought for several weeks and at the behest of his owner, and only because the owner said you've got to do it, that Nico Harrison did the closed-door round table conversation, something that was demanded by the owner? Now, he was able to push back for several weeks, push it back now. But eventually he had to do it. So, question. Does Nico Harrison being forced to meet with the Dallas media elites, does that change the storyline? All right, so it moves it ever so slightly. You can't see my fingers, but ever so slightly, just like that, just a little bit. Like, why would the owner care if Nico Harrison meets with the media? Could it be, just spitballing here, could it be because the owner is getting absolutely charbroiled for dealing away Luka Doncic, and the owner, this guy Patrick Dumont, has no basketball knowledge and just allowed Nico Harrison to do whatever he wanted, and this is what happened, and therefore, the owner's like, dude, you got to get out there. You're my piñata, and it's a kid's birthday party. Everyone gets a swing. You're the piñata. Get out there and be the piñata, and hopefully candy will fall out. Take some of those hits. So Nico agreed to it. He agreed to it on one condition. It had to be paperless. Paperless. No paper trail. No video surveillance. The popular opinion that I keep hearing from people that claim to have insider information is that the reason that Nico Harrison wanted no recording on video of this event is because he knows that the internet is forever. And he was concerned that by him coming out and saying what I praised him for this the other day, you don't apologize. He said he has no regrets because it doesn't matter whether Nico Harrison comes out and says, boy, I effed that one up. Well, that really escalated. It's not going to change anything. People will think he's a douche and the village idiot. So nothing is going to change that. So you certainly don't walk back on it. However, he did not want the video because it would have lasted forever. And the assumption is Luka's going to play another 10 years at least in the NBA and have many all-star appearances and good individual moments and all that stuff. And so what are we doing? So there's two possibilities. Either the owner really had nothing to do with it, and he just allowed Nico Harrison to destroy the business, and he wants Nico to go out there as a piñata, or the alternative reality is the owner absolutely pulled the strings or did it via pressure by the NBA to improve television ratings. But either way, the issue is that, hey, you got to run interference. We're running the naked bootleg. You got to get out there. All right, you got to get out there, and that's where we are. You're Bozo the Clown, so put on some clown makeup and some funny shoes and put on a show. Start juggling and have all kinds of fun.